Hello, good evening, Oral Gibbes, and welcome to Oral Gibbes Live. We're coming to you live here from World Star Studios at Amsterdam Shopping Center, and with me this evening, I have the first former Prime Minister of St. Martin and current President of Parliament. This is Wescot-Williams. How are you doing?
Good evening, Oral, and good evening to all our viewers.
Well, it's good to
be on the program.
Thank you for the thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you.
And it's good to have you here this evening. So you're still working out?
Yes, yes. In fact, the group, our group, You Two Can Move, took a 2 weeks break.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because as I met some of the ladies, they were like, why do we have to take a break? And that was quite encouraging, but we'll be starting up shortly. And yes, still at it. And as we spoke the last time, I think it's important that not only do I encourage women to be active, to move as much as possible, every little opportunity that you get, but I also want to set the example and show them that notwithstanding everything else that I have to do, I also take time out, and usually with them, you know, so I not only talk the talk, but walk the walk where that is concerned.
And you know, that can save lives.
It can, for sure.
So important.
For
exercise.
sure. And again, you know, if you look at the prevalent diseases on St. Martin, hypertension, diabetes, strokes, etc., much of this can be prevented by the way our lifestyles, and moving and keeping active is an important part of that entire equation. And you know, you don't have to think, oh my gosh, now I got to find a gym somewhere, but it's just that you are mindful of the fact that you need to move. There are these little hints, little points, you know, in an hour time. If you're sitting, get up and stretch your leg for at least 5 minutes, you know, those little things, but all of it contribute to the idea of movement and how important it is, and also your eating habits, of course. And we know, especially if you are on the run, how easy it is to forget and to eat all kind of things at all times, you know. But I mean, little simple things can make such a change, can make such a difference.
But how you do it? Because you have a busy schedule.
Yeah,
and isn't it difficult to juggle everything?
It is. And sometimes that would mean that, you know, you have to use the time that you do have and try to plug in different things. For example, I would get up very early and take a walk, take a jog, you know, just to make it part of because I know once I get going, it would be difficult to do that. So you try to structure your time in such a way that you're still able to do something, and I think that's important.
Do you have a dog?
A dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, some.
I just normally, because of my schedule, I have to exercise very early, as I don't get a chance to. And I just got this puppy. It's a pit bull. I hated pit bulls, but it's such a sweet puppy. She's so nice. It's incredible. People think about these dogs that's so mean and, you know, really bad. And hey, you have this puppy so sweet and loving. So she takes up my time in the morning now and exercise.
Okay, you see, and it's and why I laughed when I said some, because we have a few dogs at home, but I also remember the time when I had many dogs at home, and I think between my late husband and my kids, I mean, they never had enough dogs, you know, so we had so many and different kind of dogs. But you know, all of those things, your pets and those other, you know, other parts of your life are also important.
Yeah, that's true. As I said to one president, said to another, if you're going to Washington, you should have a dog.
Exactly.
So how are things going? Because recently we learned that the Dutch government is not in favor of any amendments to the Constitution with regards to ship jumping.
Yeah, that's a pity. Let me deal with the part of the Constitution. The proposal that was made by by the government, by the ministers, and in this case, the Prime Minister, was one that sought to curb ship jumping by not allowing a person who jumped ship to be part of government formation. So those factions getting together to form government should be the parties, actually the parties. Why? Because it is generally felt, and I mean, the proof is there, the historic proof is there, that when you have persons leaving their party in parliament and keeping the seat, that they do so in order to be part of a new government formation. That's what it has always been. So that is the stimulus to be able to form a next government, and then you get more input, you are able to nominate ministers, etc., etc. So the proposal by the Prime Minister was that that would not be possible. An individual, a so-called independent member of parliament, would not be able to get with others and form or create the government. So, but that would have required a change to the Constitution. That proposal was made, and both the Dutch government as well as our own Council of Advice were negative towards that proposed change. The basis for their objection, both the Dutch government and the local Council of Advice, was the fact that in our Constitution, like we did in our island regulation, you have this part about members of parliament actually vote without any duress, without any feedback, basically saying that clause in the Constitution says that a member of parliament does not have to take anything or anybody into consideration when he or she is voting. This so-called a free mandate, in other words, the member of parliament has a free mandate, does not have to look back and consult with, does not have to take into consideration how the party, his or her party, thinks or feels, and not even the electorate, not even the voters should have any influence or should be able to influence a member of parliament. That's what that clause has come to mean in general terms. Free mandate, you do what you want as a member of parliament. However, yes, it is in our Constitution today. Yes, it was in our island regulation when we were island territory. Yes, it was in the Antillean Constitution, which we took over for the St. Martin Constitution, and we took it from the Dutch Constitution. However, it was placed in the Dutch Constitution because of the constitutional history of the Netherlands when they became the kind of state that they are today, with municipalities, government on the level of municipalities, government on the level of the provinces, and then you have the state, the Dutch state. So you have different levels of governments in the Netherlands. So that in the development of their constitutional structure is where that part of the free mandate came in. And again, we adapted it, it is there, but now many things that touch the individual member of parliament is usually hung up under that. Oh no, you can't tell a member of parliament what to do because you have the free mandate. No, you can't exclude them from being part of forming a government. No, you can't tell them they have to give back the seat. Even if they did not earn their own seat, you can't ask back for the seat because you got a free mandate in the Constitution. So the proposal by the Prime Minister, the objections against it was that part there. So no other proposals have been presented yet as far as electoral reform is concerned, and right now the government is contemplating what do we do next as far as electoral reform is concerned. Because oral, if something does not happen in that respect, then all that we are doing now, preparing for elections. Many political parties are ready and gearing up. The outcome of the election would not be what the people necessarily will want to see. So you're going to have the outcome, you're going to have the results, they're going to be clear, we're going to know who all get a seat, which parties get a seat. But a week later, if that long, that could change up. Parties who decide to work together, you could see that change, because you still have the possibility for a member of a party who is elected to parliament to say the next day. We saw it the last time around in 2014. Before we got into parliament, you had a change by persons from the party on whose slate they were elected, and then you had a whole change up in government. So we need to deal with the matter of the ship jumping, and whether, for sure, the change to the Constitution, even if the government is to react to the objections by the Kingdom government, Minister Plasterk, and the local council of advice, I doubt that we can make a change to the Constitution and have that go into effect for the September 26th election. And I stress the Constitution because we still have a law like our electoral law, and I believe changes can take place as far as that law is concerned. It is what we call a lower law than the Constitution. That's one. We have the law on the registration and finances of political parties. That one can change. We have the rules of order of Parliament, in which an independent member, the minute the member declares his or herself independent, that member is considered a faction with the same rights as a party that is a faction, so with one or more seats. There too, you can do something, at least to start to say, well, no, that would not happen immediately.
For people who don't understand, then a law at the level of the electoral law, will that be similar to an organic law?
It's one of our organic laws. We have our base law, the foundation of our laws, which is the Constitution. And in the Constitution, it says that many things will be regulated by national law. For example, in the Constitution, you'll see where it says, there will be fair and free elections. The election process, etc., will be regulated by national law. So there is a law that regulates elections, and because the Constitution prescribes that, that is an organic law. There is a law on let me take off the top of my head or something else in the Constitution. You have that there will be a law on openness in government. So there is a law because the Constitution states it, and every law that finds its basis in the Constitution is considered an organic law.
So now that you look at it, when it first came out, I wasn't surprised later down the road that the Dutch will say, no, they're not going to go for it. Why did we decide to go that route, seeing that it's extremely difficult to get the Dutch government to make those changes?
There is a technical difference of opinion. When the draft law was prepared here by the government, in terms of an independent member of parliament not being able to make up or be part of the formation of a government. And it is not considered up until now that by doing that you are infringing on the rights of a parliamentarian, because the argument is forming the government or being part of the formation of a government is not a right of the member of parliament. So that's the feeling, that was the feeling here locally. However, the Dutch government and the Council of Advice, they look at it differently. They are saying with that proposal there, that they cannot be part of the formation of a government, you are infringing on the rights of a member of parliament, and that's a no-no. don't touch the rights of a member of parliament. However, there is something bigger playing as far as I am concerned. There is this sentiment, also a historical sentiment, that within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, you strive as much as possible for concordance. Concordance where the laws are concerned, meaning you try to have as much as possible the same laws, especially where civil rights are concerned, where your penal code is concerned, so this thinking. And it is very difficult for especially the kingdom government to accept that you will be doing something that they don't have. Because remember, right now, the kingdom government itself is struggling with the matter of, let's call it ship jumping. That's what we call it on St. Martin. Okay? They call them floor crossers or, whatever. But they have a serious problem where that is concerned. It was not too long ago that the kingdom government, the second chamber, commissioned a report to see how they could deal with the matter of persons leaving their party faction in the chamber. And then a whole report was written. I've read the report, but that St. Martin would have come up with some idea that I guess they did not think of, or they feel because of this free mandate clause they cannot have. I think that in itself was also a reason why they objected. And why I say so with such confidence, Oral, is because when we thought of a vehicle, an instrument like our constitutional court, the pushback that we got to have that included in our constitution. And you know what the argument was? But that's nowhere in the kingdom. We don't have a constitutional court. No. Other countries, Curacao is thinking about a constitutional court. Aruba is thinking about a constitutional court. There's even talk about having a kingdom-broad constitutional court. But at the minute you even seek to get out of that box and do things as they would apply best to us, you got to fight, huh? You have a fight on your hands.
For the average person in Somalia to understand what's going on here, here you have the Kingdom of the Netherlands. It's made up of what, 4 countries, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, for that change to take place in the Constitution, all 4 countries have to agree?
Not all 4. But for changes to your Constitution, and again, because our Constitution is considered our base document, our base law. It is for us the highest law. National ordinances, what Parliament passes, they are considered a notch lower. Changes to the Constitution, first of all, usually require 2/3 of the members of Parliament to vote for it. So when you're changing the Constitution, you need the approval of at least 10 members of Parliament. So even if you have a majority of 8, you cannot get a change to the Constitution passed with 8. It has to be with 2/3. That's what the caliber of that law requires. That's one. And you must consult with the kingdom on changes, the kingdom government that is, and in some cases you need their approval for a change. And for certain changes to the Constitution, you need their approval.
And in this case, the part where ship jumping, that was required.
But, even there, I have a difference of opinion. I don't think with that change that we need the approval of the kingdom government, because I don't believe that with the proposal that was made that we are touching the rights of the members of Parliament. The rights of the members of Parliament, if you're going to change those, then you need their approval. This is to say that when the forming of a government is to take place, be it right after election or because you had a change in the Parliament, then independent members of Parliament cannot be part of the group. You could support the group, but you are not counted in the majority that is needed to form a government. It has to be parties who do that.
Did you all consult with legal scholars in the Netherlands about this whole issue?
I think a lot of consultation has taken place. I have seen some of the advices myself, and of course now persons have come up with other proposals, and again, depending on what law we need to change to make those proposals into law. If it is the Constitution that we are still seeking to change, but then maybe with another change, I think we are going to be facing an issue of time. But I do believe if there is the political will, we can still effect changes to our electoral law, to our law on registration and finances of political parties, and we could also do something with the rules of order of parliament.
It's becoming more difficult for, back in the days when you first started in politics, I could just start a political party.
Yeah.
I didn't need any money per se.
Yeah.
Today, it's like you're starting a big business.
Yeah. And Oral, we have a strange situation where our electoral system is concerned. Okay, we got proportional representation. That's our electoral system. Okay, that's one man, one vote. The most votes, you get your seats. It's divided, etc. So that's a system. Okay, you could have had a district system in which you run candidates per district, but that's a more long-term discussion. However, as you stated before 10-10-10, you could jump up on any given day in an election year and you decide Oral Gibbes is going to run. So Oral Gibbes comes and he gives his slate or his party a name. You by yourself, you with two others, you with a maximum, you run on a slate. Okay, you run on that slate. That's the way it was. Some parties had a foundation, like the Democratic Party, for example, for many years. That was a foundation, the Democratic Party. But that was not a requirement for us to submit a list at election time. In the discussions leading up to 10-10-10, one of the things it was felt that needed to be regulated was political parties. So a law was drafted, the law on registration and finances of political parties. The onus in that law is on political parties. Today, political parties, you need to be an association. What does that mean? That means that the membership of any political party needs to be much more formalized than it used to be. Formally, I mean, because you always are with the Democratic Party, you come to their meetings, etc. We call you a member. We even give you a membership card. You're a member of the Democratic Party. Tomorrow, you turn your back on it, you tear up your card, you turn your back on the Democratic Party, we see you with another party because it was not regulated. Today, members of a party are actually members of the association. An association has a very specific place in our laws. It ain't just any vehicle, it's an association. You need to have an association. Your association needs to be registered. You need to comply with certain requirements, including financial requirements. So you run with your party, you put on X amount of candidates, and you follow the guidelines and the rules of that particular law. You follow the guidelines in terms of postulating your list according to the electoral law. However, the minute election takes place and we know who the 15 members of parliament are, that's where it's done. There is no further role, no further legal role for political parties. No further legal role for political parties. No mention is made of the political party DP in the parliament or the political party NA, USP, UPP. No, there is no further mention. So that tension there in terms of the political party responsible. The political party needs to make sure that its candidates follow the rules and regulations of that law. However, that's where it stopped. That's where then the man or woman elected to parliament, he or she is the one who basically decides. They decide about the seat that they're in, even if that seat was only to be had on the basis of each and every vote that the party got in the election. So you see where the tension or the, what you call that, the rubbing of the system is.
It's like, you're going out with a person and they're so nice and you get married and then you find out, wow, it's the devil. and actually, take for example, the Democratic Party and several other parties, because I checked the articles of incorporation of all of the political parties. These are public documents. The Democratic Party, for example, has a clause in its articles of incorporation that states, the person who is elected on the slate of the Democratic Party and holds a representative office, either in parliament or in the government, when that person is no longer a member of the Democratic Party, in this case, then that person has to give up the seat that he or she holds, okay, in the articles of incorporation. It's in our articles, it's in the articles of the USP, according to me, the OSPP, the NA, specifically stating that. So now when persons join a political party, when persons run on the slate of a political party, actually that person is agreeing with the articles of incorporation. So that person, if he or she is an honorable person, you would comply with what is in the articles of incorporation. But what we see is while they sign off to those articles of incorporation, because don't tell me that you join a party and you haven't asked to see their articles of incorporation. Remember too, Oral, that every candidate on a slate has to sign off that he or she is cognizant and in agreement with all of the other persons who run on the same slate with him or her. You sign off to that, huh? And so to turn around after and say, well, I couldn't really agree with Oral who on the slate and I don't like how Oral talk or whatever, is you have signed off to that. You have articles of incorporation with which you agree that you would give up the seat in the event you're no longer a member. But yet because they have the power once they are a member of parliament, they forget that. So somebody walked away with one of your seats.
Huh? People walked away with a lot of seats, not only one of mine.
In case you've just joined us, you're watching Oral Gibbes Live. I'm here speaking with the President of Parliament, Wescot-Williams. She's the first Prime Minister of St. Martin. And since that time, there have been two other Prime Ministers, right? We had Marcel Combs.
Yes, that's right.
Now we have
that's right, yes.
William Martin. When last have you seen Marcel Combs? I saw him driving the other day.
Oh, I haven't seen Marcel in a long time. Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take some calls at 54-221-70, 54-221-70 for the President of Parliament. You're on live caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're on live caller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Honorable Minister, President of Parliament. My question to you, in all respect, is that St. Martin is more economically stronger than some of the surrounding Caribbean islands. And they do not give their people generic medicine. It is a shame that we have to give our people generic medicine, which makes some of us sick. It made me have been made on this island to give better medicine. Moreover, to have heard one of the ministers of Holland, from Holland, on one of the talking shows or something like that, saying, it is working so very well that there is need for more of it. And what you all are doing, sitting and slaughtering your people in the name of consideration, when our people do not have the means to get a better attention than some of the others, because it's all mixed up and jumbled like when you stir in cornmeal. It is a shame.
Okay, we have
some consideration for our people. Do you think that is a fair thing to do to our people? Within your conscience?
Okay, we have the President.
Yeah. You know, Oral, another elderly lady approached me on the road with the same complaint, and I was happy, and I thought that it was understood when the Minister of Health, very, very detailed, came out and explained generic medicine. Generic medicine is no different compared to brand name medicine, except for the fact that they don't carry the brand name. There is no difference, absolutely. And I think our people need to understand that. If for whatever reason, because just like Mr. Lake indicated, this lady said to me, generic medication made me sick. I think those persons who have that feeling, who have that thinking, they should be helped. They should be explained. It should be looked at. Why do they feel that it is by taking generic medication that they got sick or sicker? All over, except for countries where the pharmaceutical industry has the power to prevent it, governments and others are seeking generic medication for their people. Again, there is absolutely no difference except for the brand name that the brand name medication carry. But in terms of the medication itself, there is no difference, Oral. And I can't say it more simple than that. But again, this very complaint. So I don't know if, because, you know, your mind, Oral, your mind has a lot to do. Yeah. If I look at, I have to take 2 pills. This is brand X, and this is the generic pill for that specific medication. And somehow I feel that this pill, without a name, without a brand name, etc., is going to make me sick. If that is in my mind, programmed in my mind, believe you me, I will feel sick. The very idea that I'm taking something that could make me sick would make me sick. But I think so. If I'm hearing this, and I know that that doc, Mr. Lake, he keeps very up to date. You know, he follows, he listens, and so if the information as provided by the Minister of Public Health, Minister Lee, did somehow not reach him, or even after that he feels that way, then I think we should look at ways of giving our people a comfort. You know, we can't have this feeling here. We can't have the feeling in the society that basically generic medicine makes you sick. I wouldn't say they did not get sick. I am just saying it is not because generic medicine was put forward or was given or was dispensed over brand name medicine. Not the same medication.
Yeah, See, I guess people don't realize that the brand name medication, one of the reasons why it's so expensive because
of that.
Research and development.
Exactly.
And they need to make a profit. Exactly. But once they've exhausted the years that they have, then it becomes generic, and then other companies can make it.
Exactly, and that's what it is, you know. But I think it is serious because imagine you are being given medication and you feel the medication is harmful. So that feeling we should solve. We should help people to understand because I don't think that is good. I don't think that feeling is good either.
I've spoken to some doctors. And what they told me is that if they have a patient and they realize, because there's some patients where there are some issues with certain generic medication, then they will prescribe that patient be not prescribe generic medication. They'll get a brand medication because some individuals, they understand
could have an adverse effect, you know, and I mean,
whether it's psychological,
or whatever. Exactly, and maybe generic medication for a particular ailment, maybe it is close to another medication. You know what I'm saying? To a brand name medication. And maybe that little piece in between could have some kind of an adverse effect, but that is from patient to patient. That's not overall. That's because, you know, that particular patient might have I don't know what, you know, a reaction. So those kind of things. But generally speaking, not.
Okay. Oral Gibbes live on call. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Again.
I'm going to make it just 30 seconds, Doc, because we want to move on. All right?
So very short. You want to move on because I'm speaking sense.
No, because I have other people, and every night you're calling, you have to also respect the President of Parliament. Go right ahead.
By the honor of an elderly person, please to listen to me. What I am saying, I have proved it. And I had to go and have an evaluation, and I almost dropped dead.
And they should not give you generic medication if that's the case.
Exactly.
It is not the Honorable President or any of her children as such. My respect to her, but respect my opinion, for I have proven it.
Well, Mr. Lake, I think everyone respects your opinion. Please don't think we don't respect it, all right?
Exactly.
So that's not an issue here. I don't know, Madam President, if you want me to take another call quickly there, you want me to respond to Mr. Lake?
Yeah, and I think I will. And it's exactly what we're saying. And that's what I said. You know, if Mr. Lake, Doc we call him, you know, if he has that experience, then that experience should be dealt with.
We should respect,
you know,
it.
But we cannot oral, and we should not let that feeling persist. That generic medicine in general is not good for you, and that the people of St. Martin are being given inferior medication. That we must explain. And by the way, you know, and I can understand the frustration and so. If generic medicine is what people on St. Martin get, then we all get it. The President of Parliament, her children, her grandchildren, we all get it. You know, it's not as if the elderly in our community, they get a kind of medication and others get another kind of medication. But again, Doc apparently has an experience. According to him, it has been evaluated, and I am sure that that will be taken into account. It must.
Okay. Oral Gibbes live caller. Hello. You're on live caller. You know, it's so strange because I thought I had flu one time. And then what happened was I went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me a medication. It wasn't generic. And I got very, very, very ill. And I went back to the doctor, and I said to the doctor, look, there's a problem. The doctor said, it can't be because my wife, I give that medication to my wife. I said, but I'm getting all of these symptoms. When the doctor went into his book and started looking, he said, my God, but everything that you is telling me is true. It's right here in the medical book. And he never had a case like that. I was the only patient he ever had.
that had that
reaction to a brand name medication.
And that's
it almost killed me, actually.
Exactly. I mean, people have a lot of reaction to different kind of medications.
Our bodies are different.
Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't generic. It was a brand name medication.
For sure.
All right, let's take a look call for you. So I guess and I think what has happened, if you look at Europe, France, Britain, they're all using generic medication because they can't afford to use the brand.
And the pharmaceutical industry is a very powerful industry, Oral, you know, and they are lobbying for the survival of their own industry, you know.
But I think that, and this is just my suggestion here, that the ministry needs to do a better job of public relations so the public can understand.
I agree.
This is no question. Minister Lee has been doing a great job in the time that he's been there, getting the hospital on stream, all the different areas that he's performing well. But I think the public needs to be better informed to take this misconception out of their minds.
For sure, and especially, I totally agree, Oral, and especially where medicine and health is concerned, you know. And I'm telling you, a lady met me on the road, and I say, ma'am, you know, it can't be so. We shouldn't look to put it on generic medication. And about 2 days after, I personally heard the minister run that down, you know, and explain very calmly. But again, whatever doc experienced, I mean, it needs to be looked at.
And I'm going to say this here tonight, Mr. Lake. Tonight is the last night that I'm going to allow you to call in the program and say that you've said it for about 12 programs now. And if I allow you to continue with that, it will also poison the minds of the people on this island, because your experience is your experience, and I regret and I'm very sorry for what you experienced. And I gave an example of myself that it can happen. But I don't think this program should be the medium where people like you can poison the minds of everyone on this island. This is not the intention of this program. So I respect your opinion, I respect your feelings, but just understand, as someone that's been doing television for many, many years on this island, I care about the people of Simran. I care about you. But I don't think it's right for me to allow you to call every night with the same problem. That, Mr. Lake, we cannot permit. Oral Gibbes live and caller. Hello?
I don't have a negative comment about the whole thing. I'm just going to tell you what I experienced.
Right.
Long before Mr. Lee.
We lost that. I don't know what happened there, but we lost that one. Yeah, integrity. You know, there's the Constitutional Court now is saying that the integrity member should be abandoned.
Yeah. Oral, the integrity chamber came about, and maybe this is the lady who we
let me see if she's there, then you take it back. You there, caller?
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes, go
How
ahead.
are you, Mr. Gibbs?
I'm fine, thank you, ma'am. How are you doing?
Good night, Mr. Wescott.
Good evening. How are you?
Yes, I'm glad. I am still here, but I'm not doing so well, Mr. Gibbs. But Mr. Wescott, this is Eunice.
Yes, how are you doing, Eunice?
Glad. I hope everything will work out well for them, and I pray everything will work well, because I am unable to walk or anything like that. But tell Mrs. Wescott for me, I'm still around. And this is Eunice that is calling.
Thank you, Eunice. Thanks, Eunice. And
I hope everything will work out well for the party as well.
Wow, thank you, Eunice.
I cannot walk or do anything for myself, but I love her back. She was there, she's smiling away. But I would like to see her.
I know. And I'm smiling, and Eunice knows why as well. I mean, I think Eunice has my number on speed dial, so every so often we have our little discussions. But she is such a loyal and positive person. Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Such a positive person, notwithstanding, you know, her age and her walking issues. But God bless you, Eunice.
I can still picture her there with a teepee.
Yes. I read, yes,
right.
for sure.
You're on live call. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to know the chair lady's opinion on the whole situation concerning GB.
Okay, Madam Chair. Any specific
yeah,
area?
yeah, that would have been my question, sir. And what part? I mean, the outages, the communication by GB. So, yes, anything specific you would want to know what I think or feel about GB?
He hung up already. So,
oh, okay. Yeah. I hope he's following us.
But what's your general?
I don't know if it's coincidence, but one thing for sure, since the whole matter has become one of discussion, we haven't had the kind of frequent outages that we had. I have heard GB's explanation in terms of why. I know of this whole issue about them needing not only one new engine, but actually 2 new engines. I know of the discussion, and some persons are putting the fact that we have outages today on the fact that the new engine was not ordered on time. And that brings it back to the discussion whether GB should have done as they wanted to and buy an engine out of their cash reserves. Basically, in investments, when you have an investment of that magnitude, you would seek and that duration, because these engines last long. I mean, the simple formula is always that you also pay for it over time. That's a simple formula when it comes to capital investments. You pay for your investment, if not over the whole life of whatever it is you invested in, at least over part of it. So that was the discussion. The blame is now being put on the fact that the engine was ordered late. The chairman of the board explained that actually there's another engine to come, and also agrees that the entire engine should not have been financed out of the cash reserves of GB, but rather financed over a period of time via loan or whatever. And then you have the whole issue of the saga that we had before with respect to the management and the board and government and the board in a clash. Again, I believe that the boards of government-owned companies should be operated without undue political influence. That's why they are government-owned companies. Management should be accountable to the board, and the board accountable to the shareholder. But we shouldn't have where shareholder is trying to be board, board is trying to be management, and one big mix-up taking place. So I don't know exactly what the caller wanted to hear from me, but I mean, again, and you know what happened? What happened, Oral? Things like GB outages, the heat that we have. I mean, traffic jams. When all of these things put together, it's affecting I don't want to put it as far as the quality of life, but definitely the psyche of the people. You know, people get upset, people get frustrated, and understandably so. Understandably so. And so I guess there's nothing that GB can do right now to solve the problem, but it is unfortunate.
All right, I'll tell you what, we have to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. Please do this.
This evening quote is brought to you by Port St. Martin. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Without ambition, one starts nothing. Without work, one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you. You have to win it."
In case you've just joined us, you're watching Oral Gibbes Live, coming to you live here from World Star Studios at Amsterdam Shopping Center. I'm speaking with the President of Parliament. This is Wescot-Williams, and we take your calls at 54-221-70, 54-221-70. You know, there's so many things. It's so strange now, because I sense that people are worried that the population September 26th is coming, but I'm not getting the kind of feeling I normally get leading up to election.
And you know, I don't think campaign and election should be like a carnival. But you know, there is usually a little excitement amongst the people. But when you look at how this election in September came into being, I can imagine that that people are disenchanted. You know, at this point in time, when there's so many issues on St. Martin that need to be tackled with resolve, that the government need to be able to work on so many issues, that business and labor and government need to work together. And just in this time, Oral, where we so need to kind of, you know, give a push in many areas of St. Martin, we now got to go deal with an election. You know, and whether we had liked the outcome of 2014 or not, fact is that our system is on the basis of you elect your members of parliament for the period of 4 years. They put together a government. They're supposed to control the government, not try to sit on the chair of the government. And 4 years thereafter, the people judge you again. But no, not in our system. In our system, people elect, vote for parties. Then you got individuals on parties who decide, well, they ain't staying with their party. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think I stated this on a program before, Oral. I look back at a period similar to this that had taken place some years ago on Curacao, where during, I believe it was like 4 years, you had 6 different signatures of government. And I was like, whoa, that must be a difficult situation to govern. And when I look at St. Martin, I was like, oh my God, look how quickly we could land in a similar situation. And we here fighting and sweating the small stuff, and things are passing us by. Things are passing us by. And the fragmentation that we got now in terms of politics and new political parties, yes, all part of the democratic system. People should be able to decide that they're creating political parties. But whether this is helpful to St. Martin in general, I have my own feelings about that.
I know we almost out of time, have about 2.5 minutes, but I have to ask you this. Are you going to leave the Democratic Party and be governor of St. Martin?
Well, no, let me be short on it rather than going and telling you how that whole story came about. But no, I am busy right now, and it's difficult as it is in making sure that the Democratic Party is ready with a group of committed candidates for the September 26th election. Right now, that has my focus.
So they don't have to worry about that?
Not for this coming election, for sure.
Yeah, because some people told me, what's going to happen if you leave now?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe, Oral, the pandemonium that that particular release had caused about the governorship. But at least I know I'm loved in some circles.
Because you had people in the Democratic Party. You ever heard about the song "If You Leave Me Now"?
You know.
But anyway, we're just about out of time. I have a minute. It's all yours.
Thank you, Oral. And I think it's the time. Some might say it's too early, but I think it's the time now to remind people that yeah, we might not have liked it. I didn't like the fact that in September we got to face an election again, but the time is called for people to express who they want to represent them, and don't let your dissatisfaction take you to such an extent that you say, we're not going out to vote. It's the only system that we have, and just be conscious of who you're voting for and judge people by their actions.
All right, so again, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Oral. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for now. See you next time right here on Oral Gibbes Live. Until then, good night. Take care. Bye.